All right. Hello there, ladies, gentlemen, gamers, and fellow League of Legends lovers. Welcome back, welcome one, and welcome all. So today we are going to be reacting, as we do every 2 weeks, to the patch notes. However, we have a lot of reacting to do. I didn't even know this. I opened up the client expecting to only see patch notes, and already I was bombarded with possibly one of the best league news I could have hoped for in a while, aside from them fixing ADC, and that is we actually have a new event with this whole Soul Fighter bullshit. Now, this is obviously for the next patch. It's not on this patch, but I already see there's a Gwen skin, and I've heard inner workings that that's where the ultimate Samira skin is going to be. Fingers crossed. And it looks like we're getting a new game mode, which again, we haven't gone in God knows how long. I believe the last new game mode we got was Nexus Blitz, which I actually really enjoyed. And Riot has basically over the years become privy to adding new modes in. Even though they're a $1 billion company, they don't want to spend time and resources on game modes that we find fun. And that's why for a lot of you youngsters out there, you'll never know the feeling of playing on Twisted Tree Line or Crystal Scar, which were both maps back in the day that, yeah, they didn't see too much play, but they were very fun. And ironically enough, a lot of limited time game modes were on those maps, which aren't around anymore. Now, all we get is Earth 24 fucking 7, and if they get tired of that, random Earth 24 fucking 7. And if we're lucky, maybe Nexus Blitz. But anyway, in the past they did experiment with a lot of different modes that again we'll just never get to see again, like Ascension, like Hexakill, because these were on the Crystal Scar and Twisted Tree Line, some of the best game modes, and they were so fun. It's very sad that they took it away. But anyway, again, we have a new game mode. We're not going to react to that here, I don't think. It depends how long this patch note goes, but I'm probably going to separate it into its own reaction, which you can see as always at youtube.com/Tecnics. But I'm going to be reacting to everything, including the patch notes and the Fight Arena, live on Twitch TV/Tecnics channel. But anyway, without further ado, let's get into the patch notes. That was a little intro there. So, we are up to patch 13.13. And I would be lying if I didn't say I know some spoilers for this patch. So first of all, before we read anything, static has been an issue. Now, obviously, I have some mixed opinions on it. I'm definitely going to get into them once we get into it, but let me just say this. This always happens, and, people might be a little confused by what I'm saying here, but I'll elaborate later on, but ADs always get fucked. I just want to put that out there. But anyway, let's get into the patch. So, it's the last patch of the split. Oh yeah, so after this patch, the ranked resets. Oh shit, so I gotta grind that again. Fuck. As a quick reminder, there will be a 3-week long patch due to Riot's annual mid-year break. Okay, cool. So not only have they gone less creative and less original with the game, because now instead of actual events, I mean, again, this Soul Fighter thing could be the thing that proves me wrong, and I hope it is. But basically what League has become, even though it's the whole starter for all of Riot's bullshit, it's basically what made Riot from the ground up. League of Legends is their child that basically like took care of them until they were able to make other games. And now it honestly feels like League is being mistreated, because now League, all it is, like I said, is AR Earth or Earth 24 fucking 7. Nothing new, nothing original anymore. No Star Guardian events that were actually cool. Now, if we're lucky again, we'll get maybe like a freaking visual novel comic, but no one really cares about that. There's nothing with gameplay. Like, oh my god, there was so many good things back in the day. But anyway, yeah, League has basically become on repeat, stupid pass event where nothing changes. And again, if we're lucky, we get visual novel. But anyway, so they're taking a 3-week long patch because of their mid-year break, as if they deserve it, but whatever. And we can check the full patch schedule there, but we're not going to check that because we all know that whenever it comes out, I'm going to react to it, which will be in 3 weeks. So, in this patch, we're looking to address a few overperforming champions like Aphelios, Ivern, and Rel. I can't believe what I'm fucking listing off right now. While giving Lee Sin and Nidalee a little extra power. We're also adjusting a few items like Static Shiv, finally, And the fact that they say sorry LeBlanc here, if you don't know what's happening with Static Shiv, number one, you're probably living under a rock like I was, because I didn't even know the shit was OP because I barely play Rift anymore. And Stormrazor, and oh boy, again, do I have opinions about that. So anyway, they're doing some ARAM adjustments as always, because if they don't touch this game every 2 weeks, people are going to get bored and they're going to leave because the game is boring. Because there's no new original events. Again, barring Soul Fighter, whatever that is. I don't know what it is yet, but we'll see. So, it's the last patch of Split 1. In case you missed it, 2 paragraphs ago. If you're pushing to break into that next tier, good fucking luck because you're probably hard stuck. Your rank will be locked in for rewards on July 17th. Okay, so you have like half a month left. Cool. Best of luck with your climbs, and see you next split like the horribly deranged animals we are, and we keep coming back for the beating. So, there's some TFT stuff here. I haven't really had time to play too much TFT, but that's fine because the pass sucks anyway, so I don't really care. So, we have new Elderwood skin. So, ironically enough, again, I'm always going to mention this every patch notes. Rest in peace, Surrender 20. Because now a lot of these things, unless I see them on Twitter or like on YouTube because people are going crazy over them like they are for the Soul Fighter stuff, or like they're saying with the Samira skin, with the Ultimate, aside from the Ultimate Samira skin, I would have no clue what the next set is, aside from seeing it on the homepage here. So I didn't even know the next set was Elderwood, and I have no clue who's getting it. So we're going to reveal that at the end. I'm going to look at that at the end. And that'll be a nice little surprise for both of us, now won't it? Anyway. Ranked rewards. So the Victorious Skin modal now features the season 2023 Split 1 Victorious Skin reward, which is Anivia. Now, why is it Anivia? I don't fucking know. While I don't play ranked that much anymore, I still do play it occasionally, but I used to play it a lot at the very beginning of the year leading up to now. Like, I did not play it that much, right? I did play it a good amount. I have not seen Anivia anywhere, so I don't know how they chose this skin, but whatever. This is the last patch you can play to earn this skin, so best of luck. So if you don't get gold, you miss out on the golden chicken. We updated the Victorious Skin modal to display your exact amount of split points if you are silver or below. Oh yeah, so you can get it even if you're silver now, I forgot. You just have to grind a shit ton. You'll receive a warning that you will not be eligible for the ranked award if you are below honor level 2. So they're basically telling you if you don't play nice, you eat shit. Cool. So, it's our first mid-season ranked reset. Oh, hold on. Nah. Carnita. Alright, cool. So, because we're doing this early, surprise, surprise, my grandparents are still awake, but that's changing right now. But anyway. So, let's see what's happening. This is a new process for all of us. We want to make sure you have all the accurate dates and times. If you've been procrastinating, like most of us do, your rank climbs like me, then these will be hard deadlines. So, July 16th, stuff's getting disabled. July 17th, ranked queues are down, and that's literally it. Don't worry if you're in the middle of the game, it will still count. So if you have that last game, and then July 18th, ranked queues will turn back on, but they will not count towards any rewards. Okay, cool. So those are just like warm-up games. So that's like kind of like a preseason. So where is NA? Because that's where I am. That's where this clown's region is. So... oh my god, some PST. I don't want to calculate this. Okay, well anyway, yeah, so ranked split 2 is coming. Cool. And they're making quite a few changes to the ranked experience. We'll be removing promotional series, which is huge. Reducing the amount of placement games from 10 to 5, thank god. And adding Emerald tier, so they're going to mix things up a lot. And I'm not even joking with this. I'm not being sarcastic here. This is actually kind of crazy. And so that's the new rank between Platinum and Diamond. Very cool rank changes. I already reacted to those again on youtube.com/Tecnics, so you can go see my reaction there. Alright, moving into the champion changes. So, first champion change we have of the patch. Annie. What do I think of Annie? I think Annie has always been an all-around sleeper OP pick. I mean, a lot of people know Anniebot, and when they went to Anniebot back in the day and asked, like, oh, we're nerfing Annie, do you think this is okay? Anniebot literally said, like, this was a long time coming. Like, yes, this is perfectly fine. She's too strong. Now, since then, I think Annie has kind of had a little bit of an identity crisis, and not because of her fault, because of Riot. They don't know whether she wants to be a shielder, a support, a mid laner. They don't know what they want for her, right? Because they want to take away her burst, but they also want to keep her killing potential just over time, which is stupid. So, what do I think of Annie? The main thing with Annie that separated her from a lot of other mid laners was for some reason she had godlike range. She had farther range than Caitlyn's sniper, which is insane. But they took that away, or they toned it down. They didn't take it away. It's still pretty big. Like, she'll still outrange a lot of ADCs, but she's pretty tame now. Now, I think the biggest thing was last time we looked at her, she got nerfed because they overbuffed her shield, because it was basically a Giga Thornmail. So I think since then, I mean, I really haven't seen Annie. Annie is a very safe pick, though. She's a very consistent pick, so I honestly see her as in the middle, but because I haven't seen her, I'm going to say she's getting a buff, hopefully. Q damage decreased. Okay, I was straight dead wrong. Annie is currently one of the most popular champions in pro play, and she's skipping along just fine in solo queue. This is because of how consistent of a pick she is, like I just said. Because of her solid early game and strong scaling. So yeah, literally, again, you win trades because you just outrange the enemy. You have a Q reset, which, you know, doesn't really cost you anything because it refunds mana. So it's like, Annie is just really, really good and consistent. So they're basically nerfing her. And is it anything of value? It's 10 base and 5%. So it's something, you know, it's definitely something, but it's nothing too crazy. So Annie, slightly worse. Cool. Okay. Aphelios. Oh mama, where do I start? So, as some of you might know, I don't know if I've mentioned it in the other patch notes videos, but ever since the new item changes, when they changed IE to a mythic, I've basically hit my last straw almost with League of Legends. Like, AD is such in a shitty spot now, where supports aren't even supports anymore. ADs just get crapped on. It's really not fun to play AD anymore. And now I have to choose between doing crit damage and having utility or whatever else I want. Like, no. Like, that's basically it. I've pretty much done playing AD for a good majority of time. Now I'm an ARAM TFT player. However, like I said, I still do play League and I still keep up with it. And I will say this. I don't think Aphelios is #1 by a long shot. Now, they might think, or they might say it's in pro play, which at that point, sure. But if they're nerfing Aphelios for pro, it's literally going to be like a Ryze Azir situation, where Ryze was used a lot in pro play, but in regular play, he sucks ass. Now, granted, that's because Ryze is really skill dependent. Aphelios is kind of like that, despite, you know, the 200 years joke that everyone says. But Aphelios is really, really not that good. He is a scaling ADC. So I really wouldn't count him as one of the better ones, at least in solo queue. And if it's the case where he's kind of like Azir, then he's just going to suffer, like ADs always do, for someone else's, I guess, stuff. So someone else being the pro players in this sense. And you're going to see what I mean by suffering for someone else's bullshit later on when we get to static. But let's see what they say about Aphelios here. So, Aphelios is the #1 bot laner in pro play by a long shot. Well, it makes sense. Pro is definitely a lot more structured. And has been a top performer since March. I'm surprised they let him go for that long. As such, we want to act in order to create more variety in the bot lane. Interesting. I feel like there's very little variety in pro play, but in regular play, you see God knows what. You see everything but an actual support, which is, again, what I've been complaining about. But anyway, we know it sucks for players at home to catch strays like this. Okay, well, at least they know they're hitting us Aphelios players in normals. But he's still a much stronger spot than he was at the start of the year. Okay, Nishta. Alright, well, that's the last grandparent going to sleep, so that's cool. Anyway, I would highly disagree. I would say Aphelios is worse off than he was at the start of the year. But anyway, this time around, we're targeting some of his biggest ability outliers that provide frustrating levels of power. His turret deals too much DPS for a basic ability. Oh my god, don't even get me started. We're really going to go into this. Infernum Q provides him best-in-class sustain. Wait, what? Infernum Q? Isn't Infernum the freaking flamethrower? That doesn't give sustain. What? Do I know the champion better than Riot? Unless I'm wrong. And then Gravitum's gank setup is very high for a basic ability. Okay, this is what I think they don't understand, though. So, the reason Aphelios is the way he is, the reason he gets free stats, and the reason all his abilities are super overpowered, is he only has basically 2. He has a W and a Q. There's no E. There's no E in his kit. And his W isn't even really an ability, it just switches guns, which by itself almost does nothing. So the only ability you really have in your kit that's a basic ability is really your Q. You only have one ability. And because of that, they need to make it extra strong. This is where it comes in. I'm going to relate it to the champions that don't have a traditional ultimate. Like Jace, for example. For Jace, they have to put a lot of front-ended power in the basic abilities of his kit because he doesn't have an ultimate that really does anything aside from switch stances, which is, again, basically nothing. So, I don't understand this feeling of, oh, his basic abilities do too much. Well, yeah, but he only has really one. So, it has to do a lot. So this is the part I don't understand. Now, specifically when they go to his turret, this is the shit that kills me. They kept nerfing the Chakram, because the turret is from the Chakram. The Chakram was one of the best 1v1ing tools in the game for just shredding and killing people, if you could set it up properly. And they didn't really like how strong it was, so they kept nerfing it and nerfing it and nerfing it. But, you know, I'll give Riot props where props are due. Instead of just straight nerfing it, they put a lot of the power not in the auto, but in the ability, which is the turret. And now for them to come back and say, oh, now the turret is too overpowered. Well, you nerfed the Chakram into all hell, basically, where the Chakram is a shadow of its former self. And the only saving grace was, okay, now the power is in the turret. But they're just overall taking away that power, too. This is where, again, it goes back to the base idea. Aphelios's base ability, not abilities, ability, needs to be strong because he only has one. So, I don't fucking know what they're doing. But anyway, like I said, this is basically just for pro, and none of these apply to any of us for the most part. So, Severum the Scythe Pistol. So this is ironic. This actually is a spelling error, or an error on their part. So instead of Infernum, they were supposed to write Severum. But I guess they just didn't. A billion-dollar company. Anyway, so Severum Lifesteal is going down by a decent amount later, not really too much early, which is fine. And then the lifesteal on abilities is going down by almost half, so that is getting gutted. Oh my lord. The slow from Gravitum is getting a good hit, but honestly, that's fine. I feel like Gravitum... See, again, this is purely pro skewed, because in regular play, no one wants to use Gravitum. If you use Gravitum to, like, engage, it's not bad, but it's very better for, like, a constructed, like, well-rounded team that has communication, not in solo queue. So this change, again, really does, in my mind, just change, like, pro play. In regular play, I try and get off Gravitum as soon as I fucking can. Excuse me. So anyway, and then Crescendum. So the sentry base attack speed is now way lower, and it still scales with Aphelios' attack speed, but it was doing that before anyway, I believe. So this it's just straight nerf. So Aphelio literally just got straight nerfed, like I said, and like they said as well. This is just worse off for us. And Aphelios was not even that good. He's really good once you get to late. Granted, he wasn't what he used to be, which is, you know, some people might say that's good. I say it's kind of a tragedy, but it is what it is. But yeah, no, Aphelios is definitely way worse, and there's no, aside from pro play, there's no reason for these, honestly. So, sad days. ADC gets nerfed. That's definitely going to affect the ending score. So, Ivern. Ivern got kind of a mini rework a little bit. And, you know, after all the jungle changes they did, which the main one is essentially like, oh, they made it so you don't have to be Ivern to share buffs. I thought at that point one of Ivern's major niches was gone. Why the fuck would people play him? But apparently, according to Riot, he's good. I haven't seen it. I hope to not see it because Ivern's really suck ass. But yeah, apparently he's really good and he's probably getting nerfed. So, Ivern has been taking root across all skill levels. See, and this is the sad part. Ivern is one of the most unique champions Riot has made, and I feel like now that he's being used a lot, he's going to get nerfed and he's going to lose a lot of his identity. Because a lot of what makes a champion good when they're as unique as Ivern, or Aesol, for example, it's, you know, again, what makes them unique. So when they nerf it, they're taking away the uniqueness of the champion. So it's a little sad that I think that's what's going to happen, but let's see. So they have resulted in one terrifying tree that makes Maokai look like Meowkai. I don't know about that. We feel that his ability to poke down targets at a safe distance. I don't really know Ivern as a poker, but again, I haven't seen him do this, so maybe I could be wrong. And chase down enemies with Daisy are out of line. So we're pulling back some of Daisy's damage and mobility. I didn't really think she had mobility, but okay, I guess movement speed. And we're toning down the on-hit damage he gains from his bushes. So, the on-hit damage is getting nerfed by a pretty substantial amount. 10 base damage early, which is literally 1/3 of the amount, and then 10% scaling. So if it was like 5% and then 5 damage, I would say it's like a tickle. But this is definitely like a bruise for sure. And then Daisy. Daisy move speed is going down by a little bit, but she's still faster than most. And plus, you got to remember the E slows. If I think they kept that in, I don't remember, but the E should still slow, hopefully. And then Daisy's doing less damage. Honestly, Daisy should not be like chunking you, so this is fine. But the move speed is a little iffy, but I guess Daisy still is pretty fast. So, and you have the E to slow them too, so it's fine. And you have your Q. It's not like you can't get on them. So, I think the Daisy thing is fine. I think the Bushmaker thing. I mean, honestly, Ivan shouldn't be doing damage anyway, so I think that's fine too. Ivan's getting nerfed a little bit hard, but it's okay. Kindred. So I heard Kindred is pretty good. Again, all the Kindreds I've seen are pretty bad. So I guess this is, again, more a pro-related buff, or sorry, nerf, but let's see. Kindred are elite skewed junglers that are winning far too often in the top levels of ranked play. Well, what do you know? While Trinity Force is a strong item in their inventory, imagine, oh my god. Okay, so I'm going to give a little bit more of a spoiler on what we're going to talk about later, and how AD is just bastardized. So like I said, right, already people have to choose between building IE, because it's a mythic, and building other items. The AD items are so fucked because look at what's happening with Static where AP people are using it, that ADs are building fucking nonsense. Kindred was supposed to be a critical jungler ADC, you know, crit rate jungler, right? Why is she building Trinity? Why is she doing this? The only solution could be maybe it's because crit sucks ass now. But anyway, Training Force is a strong item in their inventory. And you know what's crazy? Kindred scales off crit too. They've got other well-performing items such as Crack and Slayer, so we're targeting direct nerfs to Kindred themselves. Because they're nerfing the items too, probably. They're addressing the early invading and dueling potential, which ironically enough, I haven't really seen Kindred too much, but if Kindred's able to do stuff early, that's kind of bad because she is an AD at the end of the day, and ADs are supposed to scale, not beat you early. So anyway, in the hands of less comfortable Kindred players, the W passive healing is still strong and should soften the blow of these armor nerfs. So, all they're doing is lowering her base health and base armor, so they're basically making it so you can 1v1 her a little easier. Honestly, that's perfectly fine. Because she's still strong, you just have to be careful. So, perfectly fine. I'm okay with these. Oh my dear lord. Okay, Lee Sin. If you're a follower of the patch notes for a while, you'll know I hate this fucking blind idiot. This guy needs to be reworked or removed because I fucking hate him. His whole kit is revolved around being nothing but playing for yourself and being a fucking greedy asshole. Thank God he's weak and he hasn't been played because you need a high skill ceiling to play this guy. And almost no one has that anymore because there's so much easier champs out now. But anyway, let's see what they're doing. Lee Sin has been in a fairly weak spot in solo queue, yeah, because he doesn't fucking scale. And he hasn't been seen much in pro play either, thank God, where he's often picked despite his solo queue win rate. We're specifically increasing the scaling, oh shit, on his queue in order to make it landing it more rewarding in later stages of the game, where it's difficult to land and risky to take during large team fights. So, you know, if you know Lee Sin, you know Lee Sin. I'm not going to go in too much depth into this because the people who watch this should be familiar with League at some point. So, you know, Lee Sin does not scale, and later on in the game, Lee Sin basically does nothing. So they're increasing the scaling, which is interesting, because it's so right. You literally go in just to die on Lee Sin. You go in to kick, and that's all you are. You're literally just a kick. Your shield does not matter. Your mobility is alright. Your E is useless. It's really just your Q and your R. And it's pretty much single damage, too. It's single target, too. Like, the E is so wiener, it doesn't matter. Lee Sin does nothing. But anyway, what are they doing? So, his scaling is going up by 5, and his base damage is staying the same. Interesting. Let me look at the rest of the numbers here. Yep, it's just going up by 5 and then by 10. Okay, so slight buffs. Anything to really make it matter? Honestly, I don't think so. I think they would have to do it once or twice more, and then it probably will, but I don't want Lee Sin being played, so this is honestly okay. It's a weenie buff. So, Nico! I heard Nico's rework has been very well received. It's been very good, and she's actually fun, and maybe a bit too good, so I'm expecting to see some nerfs here. So, in pro play, Nico's excellent at getting early advantages and snowballing them. We like her ability to win lane, but she's winning them a bit too hard at the moment. With these changes, we're looking to bring down Nico's laning and create some more counterplay for her ultimate. I heard that was actually a big issue. I heard you can use her ultimate while invisible, so the enemy couldn't even react to it. And for Riot, that's a big no-no. Things you cannot react to and you just explode from, they do not like. Like, even with Veigar's ultimate, right? That thing will explode you, but it'll take time to travel with you. Nico's will literally, you cannot see it, so you cannot plan for it. I don't know anything more fucked up than that. So anyway, in exchange, we do want to give a little bit more power back to her on hit builds. Okay, so they're buffing her back, but they're buffing her back to something you shouldn't be doing anyway. So they're giving her a buff in an area where it doesn't matter and it's not needed. We're still monitoring how Nico's disguise interaction should function long term and deciding if there are any cases we're not okay with. New kinds of interactions like this will create some frustration from players. Yeah, but that's what's fun. Same thing with Shaco. But we want to make sure it's reasonable and happening at the right time. So, the cooldown of Q is going up, but it's getting equalized back to late. That's fine. So they're nerfing her early. The W proc damage is going up later, down early. That's fine. And then the R. So this is the big one here. Nico is disguised for the entire 1.25 seconds cast time to Nico is now disguised for the first 0.5 seconds of the cast and is then revealed for the remaining 0.75. So honestly, again, this is literally just so the enemies can actually react to the damn thing, and if they have flash, they can flash out. It was disgusting how OP it was before. Now, you know, it's kind of a big nerf, but it's a nerf that really is needed. It was really unfair. So honestly, this is all fine. Nico got like a slap on the wrist. This is good. Alright, Nidalee. So Nidalee is in the similar boat as Lee Sin and as what the fuck is your name? Elise. I think Nidalee is goddamn useless aside from spearing. I think Nidalee is honestly more useful than Lee Sin personally. Not in terms of starting a team fight. If you need to start a team fight, you go Lee. But if you need like just really, really good poke, even into the late game, you go Nidalee. So Nidalee is still useless though aside from that. She offers something different from Lee, something almost equally as useless, but not as useless, but still pretty bad. So unless they rework her, I really don't care what they do. Nidalee is an exciting champion when she's played at high skill levels. However, she's all but disappeared from the jungle at the highest levels of play because she sucks ass. Also, they're like updating Nidalee's look in Legends of Runeterra. They're actually making her look not like a whore, so that's good. So basically what are they doing? They're buffing her movement speed by 5. Now, while I always say movement speed is a very strong stat and ability, it doesn't really change what Nidalee does or how she does it. So it makes her do it slightly faster, sure, but and in niche situations where you're chasing people down, it matters, but it really doesn't matter too much. So slight buff, very slight buff. Rek'Sai. So Rek'Sai, I don't understand this, right? Rek'Sai, when she came out, and I always tell the story, was a demon with AP. Her Q burrowed, was on a 2-second cooldown, had a 100% AP ratio, and was literally like you were shooting an ICBM, testing it like you're fucking North Korea on the enemies, right? They nerfed that shit, and since then, she was a tank, then she was an assassin, then she was a bruiser. Now, God knows what she is. But she became a top laner. She became one of the best top laners. And I've seen some videos on TikTok of like people abusing it, and it's kind of nasty, and it doesn't make sense. So thankfully, the bot lane isn't the only thing getting bastardized, but the other lanes are at least having fun with it. When it happens to the bot lane, it's at the AD's expense. So it's not the same thing. But anyway, I'm pretty sure they're nerfing Rek'Sai here because her top lane is kind of crazy, and I never thought I would say that. So we're happy to see that updates to Rek'Sai's passive healing and Queen's Wrath have shifted her into a fighter pattern. We feel that her ability to clear camps and shrug off damage is too strong. To address this, we're reducing some of Rek'Sai's stats to slow her down and reduce the safety of her engages. So what are they doing? Her base ADs are going down by... Okay, I needed to count that because my brain's tired. 3 AD, so a little okay, a little eh. And then her base health is going down by 40. So, slightly weaker. Pretty much the Kindred method they're doing, but that's fine. Okay, Rel. What do I think of Rel? I haven't really seen Rel too much, but from what I can tell, from what I have seen, you know, the rework fucking worked. Rel is actually pretty fucking good, which is sad because I haven't played with one, because again, the bot lane is fucked, at least for me. So, they're nerfing her. What are they doing? Rel's support has been dominating recently. We're targeting her durability as we think her overall gameplay pattern is a good place. See, when I think of Rel, I think of one of the most durable supports, though. Like, there are supports that engage and die, right? Like, maybe not Thresh, maybe not, but maybe not Leona either, honestly. But, I think Rel is, like, the tank that really shouldn't die. Like, the tank support who, like, should be sturdy. So, I don't know why they're taking that away, but maybe she's really just that good. Let's see. Meanwhile, the updates to Rel's jungle monster modifiers hit a bit too hard. So Rel jungle is struggling, so they're buffing that. Interesting. We're flattening out the attack speed buff from her dismounted form, so it's not something junglers are wondering if they should max. We're glad that people are enjoying Rel though, and we'll be continuing to keep an eye on her as the mid scope settles into place. So, it seems like Rel really is finding her place though, and I am actually happy about that. That is one of the good things that we've seen so far. That Rel, a support who was barely ever used, despite being as new as she was, is now being used, and that's always good. Well, I always like traditional supports being used, so this is very, very good. But how are they nerfing her? How bad is it? Health growth is down, base MR is down by 2, magic resist growth is down by like 0.2 as well, 0.2, which is not that much. Okay, her Q is better against monsters. Her W is a little bit worse with the shield, but that's honestly fine. And then the attack speed is just getting equalized to 30, so it's a big buff early. So that's fine. Excuse me. And then her E, more damage to monsters. Overall, honestly, yes, her shield is getting nerfed, but I'm pretty sure she's as tanky as a fucking truck anyway. So honestly, I just see these as straight buffs to jungle Rel, which again, not the buffs we needed. Granted, I don't think Rel needed buffs, but I guess they're welcome because they didn't nerf her too bad personally. So that's cool. Alright, so Varus. What do we think of Varus? So Varus is getting new voice lines. I don't know if it's this patch, but I believe it is. And the voice lines are actually really good. It reveals a lot of stuff about the lore, and it's really, really nice. I just wish they gave him an ASU, where they updated his visuals, but beggars can't be choosers. So what are they doing with Varus? I think Varus sucks ass. I think he's not an AD anymore because the AD items suck. If anything, he is a on-hit person, I hope. I hope he's not doing stupid lethality, but I wouldn't know because I don't see him because he probably sucks. I've played him, but I haven't really seen anyone playing besides me, and I build crit, as always. I'm a crit slave. But what are they going to do? AP Varus has been causing quite a bit of ruckus recently. Oh, well, that's true. He's one-shotting Cho'Gaths. Especially in top lane. Dude, what is happening in the top lane? It's certainly an interesting build and quite strong, but his unique niche is ideal 1000 plus 60% of your max health at 1200 range. We're glad that he finally cares about his blight stacks because he never used to care about those. But, you know, this is what Riot does. They buff something over and over and over again until sometimes way later down the line, people finally realize it. So, what are they doing? It's just too much maximum health damage. We're hoping to keep all of Varus builds viable, which they already aren't, while giving high health champions more of a fighting chance against his high AP combos. I actually thought it was so cool that Varus could one-shot tanks like that. It was so stupid. But anyway, what are they doing? So now the on-hit is going up, which is the part I like. The damage per blight stack is going down by... Okay, so the scaling isn't as much, but honestly, it's not too bad. But honestly, this is like a slap on the wrist sort of thing. And he's still getting buffed with on-hit, so I'm happy. So this is not too bad. This is cool. I mean, the numbers are so small because the scaling is pretty good, but I think this is okay. I still think you could go AP if you want to, like, burst tanks. Okay, V. What do we think of V? Jinx's sister, allegedly. At least in the Arcane universe, not in the actual League universe. I think V is okay. I think she's sort of just a run-of-the-mill jungler. I haven't really seen her, but I remember back in the day you used to play Vi if you wanted to just play an easy jungler with a point-and-click ult that could set up ganks really easily. Good Vis are few and far between, but if they're good, they're really good. It's just she's rare to find a really good one. And I think she's, again, just a run-of-the-mill. I could see them... I have a strong, like, inkling that they should buff her here. I think they're going to buff her. Because she's just so, like, normal. Like, she doesn't do crazy damage. She does do a decent amount of CC, but nothing too crazy like Nautilus, per se, right? So it's like, I could definitely see them buffing her. I feel like she doesn't do anything well. She's a jack of all trades. So let's see. Vi has the highest pro presence out of any champion this season. Okay, well, I was 100% wrong again. This is in part due to her having very reliable CC with her ultimate, like I just said, which is especially beneficial in coordinated pro play. Everything is different when it's coordinated. We're nerfing her R cooldown to reduce its uptime while maintaining its power when casted correctly. We're also reducing the shield scaling on her passive to nerf her durability. See, that's one of the things I thought like on Vi wasn't that strong. I thought her durability, especially early game, was kind of just there just to be there. Yeah, it scales, and when it scales, it's pretty decent. But in the early game, it's kind of eh. So hopefully they're hitting the scaling, not the early. But let's see. This will reduce her synergy with Radiant Virtue. I hate that item. I've never built that item, and I don't think I ever will. Which pros purchase virtually every game on Vi. So Vi's like a supportive jungler at that point. Whereas in solo queue, it has a much lower purchase rate, and rightly so. So, her passive is getting nerfed by 3%. That's a decent amount. And her R is going up by about 20 seconds early, 10 seconds late. Okay, so some okay nerfs to Vi. Not crazy, but not nothing. Some okay nerfs. Okay, then we have Monkey Boy. We like Monkey Boy. So Monkey Boy is I think I take Monkey Boy as kind of a tragedy. Again, right? Riot made something very unique. Wukong, I would say, is a decently unique champion. Now they reworked him. They spent how long like glossing over the rework, saying like, "Oh, don't worry, guys, it's coming out. This is what we're doing. This, and that." I feel like it took months for this rework to finally come out. It was ridiculously overpowered, and it's been nerfed. And since then, Monkey Boy has never been as monkey as he is boy, and he's really not going monkey anymore. So I'm pretty sure they're gonna buff him because he feels like shit and he's weak as shit. And the whole point of the rework was to make him fun, which was, gonna make him good. But he's not that good, so he's not that fun. Let's see what they're doing. Wukong is relatively weak for most players. He still maintains a high presence in Pro because it's coordinated. So we're going to be nerfing him in a way that will impact his performance on the highest skill level. I wonder how they ascertain that. I wonder how they know, like, okay, this is something regular people don't do, but this is something the pros only do. I wonder how they know these things. Because I really feel like sometimes they don't play their own game with how they nerf ADs. But anyway, they're aiming to reduce Wukong's jungle clear speed. Well, that's the first issue he's jungling, as this will be a both jungle and pro skewed nerf while having minimal impact on the performance in top lane, which is already on the weaker side, so Wukong is eating shit everywhere. To achieve this, we are removing the monster modifier on Nimbus Strike, so he's not doing extra damage to minions in the jungle, or monsters, I mean. This is fucking stupid. I don't know why I spent so much time on this. Okay, and that's the champion chase. It's honestly not bad. For the 3-week break they're taking, this was kind of light on the champion side. So, now we are going to look at the items starting with Duskblade. So, Duskblade, I'll say right now, and again, it's going to go back to ADC and how everything is getting bastardized and not, crit is basically ass, right? Crit is ass when people that used to build crit don't build it anymore, especially when they scale off of it. Samira. So, Duskblade, for anyone who, again, doesn't live under a rock, will realize that this item was OP as fuck on Samira, because it basically let you ult and stay in your ult without having any sort of retaliation from the enemy because you were untargetable. Now, it was wildly, I would say, broken personally. It's in a very similar vein to what they changed about Nico, where Nico could basically hit you and you wouldn't even know what you're getting hit by until you got hit by it. It's kind of the same thing with Samira, except you know you're getting hit by, you just can't stop it. Like, you don't even have an option to stop it unless you have some sort of AoE, because she's intargetable, not invulnerable. So, Duskblade was her best fucking mythic, honestly. It was better than IE, it was better than any lifesteal one. It was just amazing because she could keep ulting and get the whole thing off for free. One of the main counters to Samira was always CC, and if you can't CC her, that's a big fucking step up for her. So, let's see what they're doing. It's intended that channels like Misfortune's R and Samira's R break Duskblade's untargetability, rather than triggering the effect only to immediately remove it, which would put the item on cooldown. We've decided to prevent it triggering altogether while channeling. So now if you're killing someone while channeling an ability, I guess it just doesn't work the way it's supposed to. Now, I hate how they call this a bug fix. Again, they always do this with Jhin. They nerf something and they call it a bug fix, but it's not a bug fix. It's a fucking change. Call it what it is. But yeah, no, MF and Samira are simultaneously worse for this. And it's ironic too. With Samira getting the ultimate skin, you would think they would want to keep her as fun as possible to sell the skin. So I'm hoping excuse me, we see Samira's go back to the crit build, and that crit build is hopefully good on her with IE. Or B, they're gonna buff one of Samira's items or Samira in the next patch when the skin comes out. But who knows? Who knows if the skin is even coming out? Again, I haven't reacted to the thing yet. But anyway, let's keep looking. So, this blade definitely a little bit worse, but only for ADs. Surprise, surprise. So, Essence Reaver. I feel like this item is absolutely useless. I feel like almost no one uses this item. If they do, they're probably like maybe Ezreal, maybe Lucian, and then Draven. I can think of no other person that really would build this item. I honestly don't. Mana is never really an issue for any sort of ADC. And then you're really just getting it for either A, the early damage because of the Sheen proc, which at that point you might as well go Trinity because of how OP it is, or B, I honestly really don't know why you would ever build this. So, let's see what they're saying. There's a whole ass paragraph here, so let's figure it out. Champion power comes from both their inherent kit and the systems. Runes, items, summoner spells, etc. Well, yeah, no duh. That's like saying we're gonna be alive till we're dead. Well, yeah, we know that. So, ideally, the ratio of power that comes from those sources remains relatively consistent throughout the game. That's not the case for a lot of people. Someone like Asol and Vagar, it's very much heavily in their kits. It's not really dependent on items. Items help, but it's more the kit than anything. So early on, and it's the same thing for Kale. Kale is very heavily dependent on, I would say, her items, not really her kit. Because her kit at no point is really OP. It's the items that make it OP, honestly. But let's see. Early on, champions have a keystone and only low-level skills. As time goes on, items get completed, ultimates come online, abilities get ranked. But while attack damage and ability ratios rarely change much with rank, items may have ratios of their own. If these ratios are too high, some champions start to become button pressers, so Ezreal and Rengar, instead of standing out as their own champions. I mean, let's be honest here. We all know what Ezreal is. Ezreal is an ADC, quote unquote, but realistically, he's a walking fucking Q button. Like, that's all he fucking is, too. So, I don't know why Riot's taking the high ground here. With that in mind, the goal of these changes to Essence Reaver and Storm Razor, oh god, they're hitting Storm Razor too. So I'm assuming these are getting nerfed. This patch are to limit the new attack damage ratios that champions gain over time. And they basically trying to limit it to early game. This change should make Essence Reaver stronger for most users across the majority of playtime, but will be slightly weaker later. Wow, so they're nerfing the AD item that scales. They're making AD more early game rather than late game. Whoop-de-fucking-do. Anyway, you only need 220 little cookies. Oh, you only have 220 little cookies so far? I would call that a little Sarah, but yeah, definitely other people in chat are beating you now. But anyway, let's keep going. So they're gonna limit it. Okay. So what are they doing? So the Spellblade proc is going to 130 base AD plus 20 base AD. So again, it's better early and it scales less. But overall, 30 before. So it's doing more early though. Early game, this is actually a buff and it's a nerf later. But again, I don't really know who built this shit. I guess Rengar built it too. Ezreal, Rengar, again, Draven I could see. Maybe Lucian, but that's really about it. Like, I feel like this item is like a bygone item. But that's whatever. So, I guess slight change. I'm not going to say it's a nerf because they're just niching it. I mean, again, ADCs want to scale, so what do? They give us early game. This whole rule is so stupid. Okay, static. All right, here's the main, like, grand poobah of this patch. This is the big hullabaloo. So Static Shiv has basically become the best item in the game. Now, why is that? Now, Static Shiv, historically speaking, used to be an ADC item. It used to be for Mark's men, right? Not mages, Mark's men. And what did it used to do? It used to provide you a good amount of AoE instant burst poke, right? Nothing crazy, but nothing negligible either, because guess what? It could crit. Back in the day, if you bought old Static, it could crit, and that crit was fat, and it would hit everything. And it was fucking amazing, and it was very nice. It felt orgasmic, even. New static is mainly just for wave clear, or so I thought. It still is for wave clear and it still will do such, right? But once people started fiddling around with the AP ratio, they figured out, hey, even though this gives AD, even though this gives, I think, attack speed as well and crit, it's fucking like, well, not active, but it's passive of the lightning proc scales so well with AP, it doesn't matter. Build this shit on everyone, especially AP like people. And you have to think of it like this: static was basically a better, more guaranteed Ludens. Ludens, you hit them, and it'll hit four other people for like 100 something damage, which is like nothing. Static will hit them for like 300 to 500 damage, where it's like, what the flying fuck. But anyway, yeah, static was very good with AP, and it just goes to further show that everything historically, and this has happened before, everything that ADCs get abused and ruined by someone else, and then it gets nerfed for ADs and them. Lethal tempo this happened to, now it's happening to static. God knows what else will happen to because I block out my memory, but this is not the first time, and I'm pretty sure it won't be the last. I'm pretty sure in the future they're going to do something to ADC. It's going to be good on someone else, and then it's going to get nerfed for both of them. It's like, imagine you have a brother, right? And because like you're brothers with this guy, if he does something wrong, you both get spanked. It's like that's basically what this is. But anyway, so Static Shift has gained a few surprising users, LeBlanc, and while we're excited to see how players figure out new cool ways of using the item system, there's no new cool way. This is really just abusing it. It's important that items don't produce poor gameplay when optimized. Shiv has an AP ratio in order to create an item that suits hybrid builds, like Kaisa, Kale, Varus, and Teemo. Why? Why? Okay, who needs wave clear here? Kaisa? Maybe, but she has Q, and she should build Runans anyway. So no. Kale is the queen of wave clear, so no. Varus, maybe, but not really. He has some wave clear with his Q and his E. And then Teemo, the shrooms, hello? So what the fuck? But its best users ended up being mages with long distance dashes who used it like a souped up Lichbane. Not even a souped up Lichbane, it's a better fucking Ludens. Ludens proc. Shiv is meant to be a strong source of wave clear that relies on champion input to finish killing minions. We're removing the AP ratio on minions to preserve that gameplay intent, and the PvP AP ratio is being dropped a bit in order to make sure it's not clearly better than items that already serve a PvP burst purpose. Ludens. It's possible that LeBlanc and Zoe still enjoy Static Shift with these changes. Yeah, no, they won't. But the gameplay around those builds should be much fairer for the opponent. It was very unfair, I'm not gonna lie. Like, as bad as this thing was, and as stupid as the logic behind how it became this way is, it was a insanely broken item. So what are they doing? So now the energized minion damage is plus 0%. So it literally does not scale with AP for minions anymore, which is fine. And then the energized non-minion damage, which still scales off AP, is still there. But it's, oh wait, no, it's nerf. Oh my god, it's nerfed by a good amount. 50 to 30? Holy shit. Okay, wow, they really hate static. So yeah, AP people don't build this shit no more. They say you can, don't believe them. Alright, and now finally we get to Storm Razor, which is the last item, thank god. Okay, so I started doing this, and this isn't the first time, again, this has happened either. I am a King Swami Guru when it comes to League of Legends, right? I predict a lot of things before the curve, and I will list a few of my accomplishments throughout the years. The first thing I predicted was, what was it? Fuck. It was Veigar support. I said Veigar as a support is ridiculous. It's so good, it's amazing. And then guess what? The Koreans started doing it. After that, I predicted Kog'Maw jungle, but in lane with Devourer Smite, or whatever the fucking broken yellow piss smite was at the time when that was still in, was broken. So, instead of going jungle Cog and inting, you can go lane Cog, but just take smite by the jungle item because it was so OP on him. And then guess what? The Koreans did it. Basically, my assumption for if I'm right with my guesses is if the Koreans do it, and a lot of the times they do. Now guess what happened? The items changed, which I've talked about in length at this point, and IE got changed, and I was very upset by that. But they also changed Stormrazor as well as Kraken. Kraken used to be a mythic, it's not. So Kraken and Stormrazor essentially do kind of a similar thing, but in different ways. So Stormrazor works off a energized proc. Kraken works off just hitting someone 3 times and it scales. So in my mind, I hated Stormrazor and I thought Stormrazor is inferior to Kraken. Now, why is that? Kraken is a legendary now, same as Stormrazor, so it doesn't have its mythic capability of, being just stat-wise better. But the passive for Kraken, in my mind, was so much more consistent and reliable that it was a no-brainer to take it. So think about this, right? And I don't have exact numbers, but what always wins out in these scenarios is consistency. So the way Stormrazor proc works is, again, I have to energize it, and then I have to hit the enemy with that auto. They will know when I'm energized because it shows, and if they're paying attention, they can obviously track it. And at the end of the day, I need to CS minions, and there is a cooldown to this item based on the energized stacks, right? So you can't keep constantly doing it. You have to wait a bit, you either have to move around or auto attack a little bit. So this was, at first, it was a good poke item if you could get it off. It's just, it's hard to get it off because the enemy knows it's coming, and B, you have to CS, so that could waste the proc in general. And then if the enemy sees you wasted your Stormrazor proc, they could just all in you because you don't have a major part of your first built item, because this is built first. Meanwhile, look at Kraken. Kraken is always on, there's no cooldown. You could say the cooldown is how fast you can auto, but you can always auto, right? And it just gets better as the game goes on, and the more you attack a singular person. Oh, you autoed a minion? Oh, that doesn't matter because if you auto the enemy 3 times, they're going to get procced. Same as the minion. So it's not like a thing you can necessarily waste on minions per se like you could Stormrazor. Like sometimes I'm pressuring the enemy because I have my Stormrazor proc, but I have to CS the minion, so I have to waste it, and then they would come in, harass me, or push back up because, again, I'm losing my power at that point. I'm losing my position of power. Kraken, you never lose it. And it's just so much more consistent. I built Kraken, and I said at the beginning, on stream, it's on record, that I think Stormrazor is so stupid as a first item. Yeah, it's good if you can get lucky and pop it off, which, it's not crazy to do. It's not necessarily hard to do. But Kraken is just more consistent and will do overall more damage in an extended fight, in, a non-pussy poke fight. So I never understood why why everyone valued Stormrazor. I never thought the sign was that good. I honestly didn't. But anyway, so it seems like they're doing the same thing. They don't want Stormrazor scaling, similar to Essence Reaver. And this is also a Rengar nerf, because Rengar builds this too. So, Stormrazor has a ton of new users in mid-season, for some reason, and some of that is because it was initially overpowered. So this is a feast or famine item. This item is basically like Varus. He's either extremely good and always used, or extremely bad and never touched. And it's, again, it all goes back into the patch cycles, the balancing cycles of some patches it's going to be OP because they need to buff it again, because why have it in the game if it's going to be nerfed and unusable? And then after it's good for a while, they're going to nerf it. And I think that's healthy. I think in the game, it's healthy to have some things be in season and be out of season. Granted, I have a little bit of a different time frame on when that should happen, but I still think it should happen. Every item and every champion, especially the champions, should get their time in the sun because someone enjoys them. So, what are they doing? It's actually a touch weak right now, but it's also contributing to substantial late game burst. And this patch will be reshaping its power to be stronger early and weaker late, which is exactly what ADs live for, right? ADs are there to be strong early. I swear to God they're ruining this role. Which should make buying Stormrazor feel like a strong power spec while still making marksmen rely on sustained damage for late game success. Its AP ratio is being removed, thank God, because it's not a good mage item anyway, which is what they should have done to fucking Static. Static should scale off AD, and should crit. It's so stupid. Anyway, and we're not willing to give it the 3 Lich Banes, give them 3 Lich Banes, so we don't want them getting any weird ideas. Oh, that would be kind of crazy, actually. So the energized damage is now going from 15 to 90. The scaling is getting slashed from 60 to 25, and there's no AP ratio. So honestly, Riot did exactly what they said. It's really good early, it's really not scaling as hard. So, you know what this means? Overall, while this is nerf, I'm perfectly fine with this. Fuck Stormrazor, build Kraken Slayer. Kraken's way better. And more consistent. Okay, now, ARAM adjustments. So I'm gonna go over these slightly because again I do play ARAM. So let's see what we got. For this patch, we'll be mainly reducing the buffs or nerfs on champions who no longer need them. Some of the modifier reductions are on champions who are below a 50% win rate, such as Zed or Kiana, and they are generally harder to play on ARAM especially, so we want to ensure their buffs aren't too oppressive in the main's hands, in the mains of the champions. We like champion expectation to more closely reflect Summoner's Rift. I think that's bad. I think that's actually a wrong idea. So we'll be continuing to reduce modifiers on champions when it's reasonable to do so, even if there are sometimes below a 50% win rate, because win rate doesn't really tell the full story, especially in ARAM. So I actually misinterpreted what they meant by that. So essentially what they mean is they don't want to change them too much for ARAM, which I think is fine. I think overall they should take like the approach of laissez-faire with ARAM, where, you know, hey, we just leave it. It's a for fun mode. And I still believe they should add a ranked mode in ARAM because, again, it's not going to be a serious ranked mode, but it's there for the people who want to, like, earn something for the win. I really hope they add a ranked mode to ARAM one day and it's, like, not, you know, super toxic. But, you know, ARAM is definitely a place where I think it's just meant to have fun. And you can't overly, like, balance it because it's not meant to be balanced. It's literally all random, all middle. If you get a good comp with like good synergies, you should stomp it out because it's random. You can't plan for it. So, you know, I hope Riot doesn't overly restrict us, but it looks like they're not. It looks like they're actually letting it back. Now, of course, this has the opposite effect of making champions a little worse that needed the help. Because if they were getting extra help, and now they're going to take that extra help away, they're going to be overall worse for ARAM. But again, that's what ARAM is. So either way, I still agree. So, excuse me. Aatrox doing slightly more. Caitlyn doing normal. Oh, damn, this song's going crazy. Holy shit. Jinx doing a little bit more. Karma. Okay, I'm not reading all these. These don't fucking matter to me. So the Mythic Shop is getting rotated. Prestige DRX Aatrox is leaving, so get it while it's hot. Bug fixes. The Practice tool was, I guess, broken. I think it's fixed now. And then more bug fixes. I'm not going to read these because these are a lot. And now finally the upcoming skins. So I don't believe there's any legendary in here, and I believe that. Oh, okay. There's only 2 Elderwood skins here. I thought there was going to be 4, but I see the other 2 are actually Star Guardian skins. And we'll talk about that a little bit because there's a little bit of an important thing to go over here. But the 2 Elderwood skins are Wukong Monkey Boy, which I think is a waste because Monkey Boy is pretty bad. He does need a good skin though, so honestly I'm alright with him getting the skin. It's just he kind of sucks. And then Elderwood Karthus. I think that skin looks fucking sick. I thought that was a Zero at first, but I noticed it's like a skeleton thing. Also, let me look at the splash art real quick, like up close. Yeah, Elderwood Karthus looks fucking crazy. Holy shit. Again, why they give it to Karthus, I have no fucking clue. And why they gave it to Monkey Boy, I again have no fucking clue. But honestly, Monkey Boy definitely needed it. Karthus probably didn't. I think Karthus has enough skins that are like, you know, good for him. But Monkey Boy for sure needed it. But overall, I think these are really nice. And now the next skins. So the next skins are the Star Guardian ones. Now, these are not new skins. And some of you might be questioning, what do you mean they're not new skins? They're not in League. Yes and no. They're in the mobile game Wild Rift. Now, one thing that is happening that I don't like, and I've said this a lot on stream and I'll say it here in the patch notes, is that League is getting treated like the forgotten child, like I said in the beginning. This game used to have creativity, it used to have soul, and now it's basically just become, you know, hey, do your like usual event pass that basically holds nothing new and give us money. It's basically become like a money bot, a way to siphon money out of the players and just be boring. So a lot of the other stuff that Riot has made, like Wild Rift, especially Legends of Runeterra, have a lot of good cosmetics options, and TFT as well. TFT is included in this. TFT, Legends of Runeterra, and Wild Rift have skins and stuff that are not in League that I would argue are better than some of the skins in League and really should have been in League because they're so good. One of the prime examples of it is Pulsefire Jhin. Pulsefire Jhin is an amazing skin that's in Legends of Runeterra, nowhere else. Wild Rift has a lot of exclusive skins. Now, thankfully, they're finally transferring those skins to League of Legends. Now, this is a little bit of an interesting concept now because Wild Rift, it's going to come to no surprise to anyone who's actually seen it, will say it looks way better than League of Legends with the models. And it does. Why is that? Because they redid all the models from scratch. So these skins probably look better on Wild Rift. So it's not a one-to-one port over. It's not as easy as we might think. Now, granted, billion-dollar company, right? Like I always keep saying. But I'm assuming they had to, like, do some finagling to, like, get the skins to look somewhat similar, or at least to League style, on the PC from Wild Rift. But regardless, this is good. I mean, I'm perfectly fine with getting skins on a delay if that's the case. Like, I'm perfectly fine with waiting as long as I know they're coming out. Like, we need to get Pulse Fire Jin, and we need to get all the other ones, which I can't remember now because I don't really play those games anymore. Although when I'm unemployed, hopefully I will. Hopefully I will play more Legends of Runeterra. But anyway, yeah, so we're getting Star Guardian Seraphine and Star Guardian Ori. I think these are two pretty good skins from what I've seen, especially the Oriana one. I love the Seraphine one specifically because her little fucking familiars are just blasting their mouths open. I think it looks so fucking hilarious. But yeah, this is pretty good. So pretty good skins all around. Not too many complaints except for the champions being bad. But I'm either gonna complain that the champion has gotten too many skins or the champion sucks. It's rare that a champion who's good will not have a lot of skins because if they're good, they're gonna get a lot of skins anyway because that's what sells. Lux. So yeah, essentially all the skins here are pretty decent. I'm not too mad with any one of them being given to who they were given to. So that is the patch. How long did we go? We went about an hour. Honestly, that's quicker than I thought we'd be, but still kind of long. Overall, what do I think of this patch? Let's go through it quickly. Annie's whatever. Aphelios is dumb. Ivan is interesting. Kindred is sad, but okay. Nico's good. Nidalee Rel's Varus is stupid. So basically, they think AD is good, and they're nerfing all the ADMs to make it early. So just because, again, this is from a, I would say, challenger level ADC's perspective, in terms of like the problems with ADC and how they're not getting solved and how they're getting even worse, the whole goal of ADC is again to be the late game carry, and now they're even fucking with that. So already in bot lane we had the problem of the right people weren't being picked. You had mages, fighters, assassins going in the bot lane, sometimes even in the ADC role. So already ADCs have been displaced there. Now their items are getting fucked with, and now their whole identity is getting shaped and shifted into more early game than late game. Where again, I don't even think they're good late game because most of them don't build IE anymore, which was the premier late game item, which again now activates instantly early. So you would think, the main issue with ADs was they took too long to scale. But that doesn't make any sense if that's the issue, because now you can build IE instantly, insta get the crit damage on, but people still aren't building it, and crit still sucks. So, is it really that it was scaling, or is it just ADCs kind of suck? I mean, you know my answer. But because of all this, because of all the nonsense, I mean, honestly, I'm glad they nerfed Static the way they did, and I'm glad they nerfed Stormrazor because fuck that item. It's sad that they nerfed Duskblade, even though, again, I want Samira to go to crit, but I was hoping to try the Duskblade build out on her with the new skin if I could get it, but I guess that's a pipe dream now. So, I'm honestly going to give this patch, like, this honestly did not feel for the players at all. I'm honestly going to give this like a 2 out of 10 because they even touched up Lee Sin, which I don't want at all. Like, this is a hard 2 out of 10 patch, mostly because of all the changes in it. Like, all the stuff aside from the actual balance changes, the skins are decent. The whole ranked stuff that's happening is really good. But the actual stuff that's happening in the fucking game fucking sucks. So I think I will rate this a 2 out of 10 Marc Merrils. I think this is one of the lowest I've gone. Maybe I'm being a little bit harsh, but honestly, like, this just almost did nothing good for any AD. Like Aphelios straight got nerfed in every aspect. For pro play, not for us. Varus straight up got nerfed, but his one is, like, understandable. But it's still a nerf. You know what? Actually, not. Because it's AP and not AD, even though AD is fucked, I'll raise this up to a 3 out of 10 Marc Merrils. Because, again, they did nerf Stormrazor, even though it's a nerf of an AD item and it's more towards early, which doesn't make sense. I'll go in the middle. 2.5 out of 10. 2.5 out of 10 Marc Merrils. That'll be my rating. But anyway, that's about it. So again, I do these live on Twitch TV/Tecnics channel because right after this, I'm gonna react to all the fight arena stuff. So I'm gonna do that. And if you're interested, the reaction's probably also gonna be on YouTube as well. But anyway, I hope everyone enjoyed 2.5 Marc Merrils out of 10, and I'll see everyone in approximately 3 weeks if I'm not dead by then. Hope everyone enjoyed.